Hi, my name's Nicole. I have been working with Rachel for the past several months, and I would just say, she's a wealth of knowledge. She's natural at what she does. She gives you, advice that I think you can use every single day. She's super real, leads you down the right path. I've enjoyed every moment of it. Her skin camp is exceptional for anyone that wants to take a bit of a deeper dive. It's like being in the bathroom with Rachel. She guides you through everything. She's super passionate about it. You have the ability to watch it over again. By far worth all the investment. I go back to it all the time for reference.
Hello and welcome to today's episode right here on the School of Radiance podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Varga, a humble human on a mission, here to help you achieve and receive the best hair, skin, and nails of your life using my background since 2011 as a double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist and having performed over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures. I bring the best of many worlds, including the worlds of home care, in clinic, and also the research behind what truly can help slow aging. Looking at some of my research on oxidative stress status and its impacts on the skin. In the School of Radiance podcast, we explore many things beyond just the superficial to help you glow from the inside out and become your most radiant version. Enjoy today's episode right here on the School of Radiance podcast. Welcome to the School of Radiance podcast. I'm your host, a humble human on a mission, here to help you both look and feel your best. In today's show, we're going to be diving into some recovery tips for those of you who are pursuing doing some rejuvenation. We're going to give some tips that are going to apply to both non-surgical and surgical recovery here with today's guest. And I'm really excited to kind of share a little bit about, my story of what it was like when I went to get rejuvenation and didn't feel like I had all the resources and information that could have helped me heal and recover the fastest. So I had to do some of my own research. So we actually have Laura Alexis joining us today, who's here to kind of simplify that process and help you go through this journey of looking and feeling your best with some additional strategies in today's conversation. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest here. She is the CEO and founder of POP Recovery Systems. We're going to be getting into what that framework is, and she embodies the quintessence of entrepreneurial brilliance and compassion. I do have to say that quintessence is a very interesting word to use in your bio, just an aside here, because this actually means the fifth element or the space between, which actually makes up about 80% of our universe. So for those nerds out there, the someone using the word quintessence in their bio piques my interest quite a bit. We all kind of find each other in this fun podcasting space of sharing health positive information. So with an acute sense of identifying gaps and addressing the needs within overlooked communities, Laura has seamlessly transformed challenges into opportunities, building seven-figure businesses that not only prosper, but also profound and impact lives. At the helm of POP Recovery Systems, she pioneers innovative support and recovery solutions for the bariatric and plastic surgery sectors, underscoring her commitment to holistic well-being. Laura's visionary leadership and unwavering dedication to inclusivity and comprehensive care exemplifies her as a beacon of change in the healthcare industry. Welcome, Laura Alexis. Great to have you here. How are you today? And of course, what is radiance to you?
Thank you so much for having me. My bio sounds so much different being read from someone else. It sounds great. I love it. But radiance to me means kind of aligned with the word quintessence, which is pure in the absolute definition of. And radiant is bright, it's light, and it's really feeling. When I think of radiance, I think of empowerment. So that's what radiance means to me.
Very beautifully stated. I'm curious, how did you first come across that word?
Well, the first time that I came across that word, I was actually in fifth grade. I was doing a campaign to be the SEA president of my school, and I was trying to figure out something unique for my campaign. And it didn't end up being the winner, but the essence of quintessence, I think, was the word that I was trying to make a campaign around, but it didn't actually work out. But I always felt, as I continued to go through life, that if I could be the quintessence of everything that I was doing, not only that I would enjoy it because it was pure and exactly where I was supposed to be, but it would also make by a byproduct me be excellent in that space as well. That it's always for the right reason that I was doing something, for the pure and alignment and the absolute definition, so that it wasn't fake, that it was real for me. So it's a little deep, but that's what
Oh,
it
that's
is.
so beautiful. I honestly have never come across any other person that has used that word. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, there's some cool things that are going to come about in this conversation here today on the show, which I'm really excited about. So first of all, I'd love to kind of get into your story. What got you so passionate about helping others during their recovery process, and some frameworks that you identified that were kind of missing in the general plastic surgery space, and why you're so passionate about offering this.
Yeah. So when I started my first negotiation business in 2020, and it was successful very fast. And so within the first 90 days, it had reached seven figures. And my life changed so quickly because there wasn't a lot of overhead. I was pretty much a solopreneur. And so it was just all of a sudden I went from like paycheck to paycheck to boom. And so I was like, oh, there's so many things I want. I want, this penthouse, and I want this car, and I had always struggled with my weight my entire life. So since I was very young, eating disorders, just really bad relationship with food. And so my body expanded and did not, and expanded and did not, and went in and out my whole life. Then I had my daughter, love my daughter, but she was a big baby, and it expanded again. And did more expansion from the inside, of course. And so I said, all right, well, now that I can afford it, I'm going to have plastic surgery. And so I used a surgeon that my friends were using, board certified surgeon. So I was like, okay, check. When they gave me all of the instructions for the surgery, for me, it was too much paperwork. I gave it to my assistant to read. That's bad, by the way. Do not do that. But that is what I did. And I really kind of went on with life as usual, beach clubs, nice dinners with bottles of wine, like regular life as usual, not really paying attention how I needed to prepare for the surgery. And so then I had the surgery, and the world was different. So, I couldn't go out. My daughter was with my mom. I missed her so much. The food that I couldn't eat, spices and salt, these were things that I was used to. So like I said, I had an assistant. So what she did was, before I even went to surgery, she planned that I wouldn't stay in my house because of the stairs. She got me an Airbnb 10 minutes from the office. She got me a nurse to stay with me for 3 weeks instead of the recommended 5 days, because I was really nervous. I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't want to have to deal with these drains. Like, I'm not going to touch my own blood. I'm not touching any of this. So, and then the food, she had looked at that and she knew me very well. So one of my friends, she is a nutrition coach, and she said, hey, look, this is what Laura's going to have. Can you make a plan for her? And then my friend Ben, he used to be a chef, and so she got with him and was like, hey, if I give you this, will you make sure that she has her food? That is a lot. But I had an assistant, and I was like, later on when I started building this company, I was like, what normal person has all those resources when they're having surgery? It's just not common. But that wouldn't have been something that caused me to create this company. What really happened is, in the recovery, when the mental aspect of recovery really hit me, it was really a hard hit for me. It wasn't just the blues, it was full blown depression, it was full blown body dysmorphia. I could not connect the mirror with who I was. And a lot of the things I had gone through as a young girl and a young woman, they reopened in that stage of recovery. And later on, when I got help through a therapist, I realized she taught me, well, when you have trauma that you haven't dealt with, when you then have trauma done to your body, it can reopen and these things can happen. And I was like in a very, very bad place. And a lot of my friends didn't understand because they're like, you did this to yourself. You have a great life. You have a beautiful daughter. Why would you want to harm yourself? And so it really did take that professional help to get me out of that dark space. And it took like 14 months. So, but once I was back in the light, really enjoying my new body and everything, my new reality, my new deeper love for myself, because that's what I really learned was how to love myself from the inside on a deeper level so that I could go through the changes that would happen on the outside, which I'm so grateful for because if not for that, still be so obsessed with the little things. You meet people that have plastic surgery and they're like, yeah, but I need to get this now. I need to get that now. There are some things that I'm still going to do because I love technology and I love anti-aging and I just love all of the resources that are available. But it's not because I feel like I have to. It's not going to be the end of the world if I can't. But it was that process that made me do research and do a deep dive into, I wonder if other patients are going through this or potential patients are not having surgery just because they're afraid of how to prepare and what recovery will look like. So through that deep research, lots of surveys. I bribed over 200 people with Amazon gift cards to fill out these surveys from Instagram and Facebook, just to tell me, hey, is this a thing? Did you feel like you could use more support in the coordination? Your family be more educated on how to take care of you? Were there things about the supplies that you felt like I bought too much of this or not enough of that? Did you feel like in nutrition, there could have been more preparation? There could have been things that could have been individualized to your lifestyle and that's unique to you. And in the mental side, is there fear? Is there anxiety? And was there depression or sadness after that you felt like you couldn't talk to your surgeon about? Not because there was anything wrong with them, but because they did their job. They did the surgery. So it was an overwhelming 90% of people from those surveys said, yeah, I could use something like this. And that is when I said, okay, well, let's go for it. And we've been building ever since.
Fantastic. For those of you tuning into the show here that might be new, and for those longtime listeners, I mean, I've had a little bit of work done myself too. I'm not going to beat around the bush. And after having a surgery done, and my mom just had a hysterectomy as well, oftentimes general anesthetic is used. And people don't really think about the emotional and mental aspect from a neurological and chemical perspective, pharmaceutical perspective, even of how the brain can actually kind of go through some shifts and emotions. So having that support after surgery, I think, is really key. And you touched on something incredibly crucial, is that if there has been underlying traumas, yes, when something then is done to the body and you haven't moved through that, those things can show up highlighted. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of doing the psychological work, moving more towards a secure attachment style. I love to dive deep into these things because they make us a more brighter, attractive human. They allow us to be more resilient. Say we choose to have an elective surgery, or we have to have something that isn't necessarily just to make us look prettier. From a plastic surgery perspective, it could be something that's important to do and recommended by your surgeon to do, so that you live better. And we need to be able to be adaptive and metabolically flexible and also resilient, so that when these obstacles do happen, we have the mental capacity to move through it. And yes, when we sometimes do elective things, we can still get this coming up. The general anesthetic component, I think, isn't talked about enough. I know I experienced it for the first time. I was like, oh, why is my brain working like a little bit differently? Why am I thinking a little bit differently? Why do I have this kind of like brain fog? And I remember when I was first getting something done, I went on YouTube. I went on to the vlogs, and I was actually a nurse at this time too. And I felt like what was out there was very kind of superficial and not into the elements of nutrition and setting yourself up for success with supplies, that was at the level it needed to be, which is actually why I first started to show up on YouTube, was to do some content on pre and post recovery tips. So I'm really happy that there's someone like you out there that's actually created a framework to support people during this. And with bariatric surgery having gained popularity over the last decade, and now we're seeing more use of semaglutide and different things to help with weight loss, these things are really becoming quite common now. Rhinoplasty and eyelid surgery are the two most common surgeries that are performed aesthetically and sometimes with or without general anesthetic. So these things are more common than you might think about, and it's just great tools to have in your toolkit. So I'm really curious, Laura, how does your framework help educate patients, not only in the recovery side of things, but also for aging well?
Yeah, so I mean, everything really starts in preparation. So, our patients, of course, they can follow us on social media and all the platforms, and we have some tips and stuff there. But when they're working with us directly, they get their own team. So, they get their own mental health coach, their own nutrition coach, their own concierge wellness coach. So, concierge wellness is just like having an educated best friend who can literally do anything for you. It's kind of like my personal assistant back in the day when I first got this idea. And then for people on a weight loss or transformation journey, they also receive a fitness coach. And it's all about making sure that we are aligned in what we're educating them. So everyone does an assessment in the beginning to kind of find out where they've been, where they're at. That part is extremely important because we don't want to give a generic plan to everyone. I feel like that's what the rest of the world does. So it was extremely important to me that when we're moving forward with our patients, that they're getting an individualized plan. This is also very important for aging well because if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going or how to get there. And so that preparation is extremely important. And the biggest and on the like the longest term that we have is someone can come to us before bariatric surgery, before semaglutide, and stay with us, and we will support them all the way to their plastic surgery journey, which typically is necessary because of the loose skin. And so that pre op can be anywhere from 2 years before plastic surgery because they're on a weight loss journey, all the way to 2 weeks before surgery because we partnered with one of their surgeons and they signed up really quick for surgery. I think that this is really important to mention because a lot of people think that if I have bariatric surgery, I'm going to have all of these resources, or if I have semaglutide, oh, they have resources like this. I'm not talking about an AI generated person that's going to say basic things or a drip campaign that's going to give you generic tips. I'm talking about actual human hands who are going to really prepare you according to your lifestyle, your unique needs, which is very different. Like someone like you, Rachel, who might be working for yourself and being able to, make time throughout the day will be different from someone like, my older sister who works a stationary like job, just works certain hours. Someone who it really prioritizes eating healthy, like it's already a part of their habits, to someone who has no idea what that is. They've been just kind of winging it. So in the pre-op is where most of the work is done when we can, and then the post-op can last for as long as they like because we even have programs called Forever Young collection, which goes into hormone therapy and skin elasticity and anti-aging. And we don't offer the procedures or the medications or write prescriptions, but we educate and point them in the right direction. you know Correct me if you might have to look this up, listeners, but because I'm not the expert on it. But like, is it organic for like the hormones? Like people will try to give you different quality of hormones, synthetic and organic, and I don't know all the details of that. But my chief strategy operations officer, who is our master's in anti-aging, she came up with the entire framework of our anti-aging program, and those are details that someone like me even would just not know. Like, I know I don't want to go through these certain things like heat flashes or things that happen at women my age. There are ways to prevent that, but there's just a lack of education or too much education where you don't know where to start. So the whole idea is to give them a trusted resource that is going to individualize the education based on information about them, unique to them.
That's so beautiful. And you touched on something that is being lost in today's med spa and plastic surgery world. I would know because I teach in it. And the biggest thing that the modern med spa or modern plastic surgery patient is complaining about is that it all feels very cookie cutter. And we are individual, we're bio-individualistic, which means our levels of inflammation are variable, our hormones are variable. So to take a cookie cutter approach for getting ready for some type of rejuvenation, some type of plastic surgery, this transformation, there's the initial legwork that needs to be done. So I'm so happy to hear that there's someone like you that is actually bringing this under one roof. And in my opinion, of having a pretty good track record of seeing the writings on the wall with, say, doing virtual skin consults back in 2018, because I was attracting global clientele to come see me for rejuvenation. I had to do that. Lots of things, build out online tutorials of how to actually use your products to support people worldwide. So there's people like you and I, Laura, who identify a need and then we fill it, and we get so much personal satisfaction knowing that this is comprehensive, it's not generic, and it's dialed in and customized to each individual's needs. Now, so many people these days, they have had kids and they're thinking, oh, I want to get a tummy tuck, breast augmentation, body lift, liposuction, things like that. But they don't do the internal landscape work, like what you mentioned, with the hormones, with the nutrition, with the fitness component. A lot of times people are just, especially in our society, are just searching for that magic bullet, that one thing that's going to solve everything. And if there's one thing for you tuning in to really take to heart, is that it's actually going to be a combination of things that are going to give you 1% benefit here, 2% benefit here, that will accumulate to maybe 20 to 40% benefit over time. But it takes a certain degree of effort to learn these strategies. And you did also mention something called information paralysis, if you will. We have so much information at our fingertips here, but it might not be specific to what your internal landscape on a biological level, physiological level is needing. And one of the things I'm really interested to see happen and shift in the plastic surgery world is taking more of this quantitative approach of biomarkers. And I'm actually writing a paper right now on the biomarkers of skin aging and the different changes in biomarkers that happen in the different decades of life. So I'll for sure share that paper with you once it's published to support your team as well. But this is the future. It's the future of this personalized approach to get things dialed in, do the at-home care, do as much of that as possible. And then sure, if there's something left over, we have incredible options that are available to us. And sometimes they are surgical as well. So, surgery isn't always a bad thing, because sometimes surgery can actually give you a more robust long-term benefit that sometimes is actually even more cost effective than looking at the non-surgical route that might not even get you the results that you want. Like certain non-surgical aesthetic things aren't going to do what a tummy tuck or lipo is going to do. I mean, simply put, right?
Absolutely. And it's all about choose your heart. You can lose all the weight in the world, but if you have your abs are separated, then you're never going to really get not only the look, but you're not going to be able to be as efficient in the gym either. Our bodies were made a certain way. We were born that way. And yes, we were also made to have children and everything. But there is a reason why technology created ways to kind of bring us back to our pre-mommy or pre-natural kind of weight. I mean, even those who extend their weight massively and become obese need ab repair as well without even having any children, because of what it's done in their body. And a lot of times with pop, we're meeting people that it's not just an aesthetic thing, like it's for a better quality of life. And I think that's extremely important to have a better quality of life.
You touched on something really key, and I've seen this a number of times as a practitioner. When someone has gone through quite a bit of trauma in their life, there are some things from the mental health perspective that haven't really been addressed, and I've seen somatic releases with some of those, the dear patients that I've treated over the years. And so we have to be there. We have to identify this and be empathetic and conscious of this. So I do like what you said about, why is mental health so important in this space, is because it could play out and actually potentially even impact your recovery, slow it down. You might just not have as smooth of a journey as you might hope for. So I'm really happy that, not only you provide this framework of comprehensive concierge team to set someone up for success, but you're also highlighting the mental components as well. So when did you first learn about the importance of offering this? Like, I'm curious what year you were kind of like, okay, there's a gap in the plastic surgery and aesthetic market for this. When was that?
So I would say that when I first started the company in 2022, I just started it because I was like, well, I had this problem. Maybe someone else did. So I started the company. I move very fast when I have ideas. So I was like, I'm just going to start it. And then we did those surveys at the end of 2022. So August, we started. At the end of 2022, we were able to get the surveys in around November. And during that time, I started my first trials with some influencers that were having plastic surgery after major weight loss because they had bariatric surgery. And I was never even in the mind space of moving to bariatrics until I started working with them. So then I'm not the coach, right? So I have nutritionists, I have mental health, I don't do any of the patient care myself. I always delegate to experts so that the patients can get the most excellent care that they deserve. And so just in our meetings of the feedback of the trials, that's when my entrepreneur like bulb started going off more and more and more. Because if my coaches are going through this much for these high anxiety patients, then what are the offices going through? And I know the offices are not able to do what we do because it's all that we do. We don't do that and try to book more surgeries and try, like, we're not, this is what we do. And so that's when I started digging even deeper and then starting to talk to a good friend of mine, Mavi Rodriguez, who has the Big Butts No Lies podcast. It's one of the top plastic surgery podcasts in the United States. I actually sent her a message on direct message because I saw it, but I was like, you know what? She has 15 years of experience as a patient coordinator. She's seen thousands of patients. She talks to these surgeons. So I asked her, hey, could you be willing to hop on a call? I just want to know if I'm on the right track with this. And after our call that should have been 15 minutes, lasted for an hour, she was like, this is absolutely needed. The biggest challenge you're going to have is that it's been the same way for 30, 40 years. So it's going to disrupt the entire industry. So you need to be prepared for that. And for me, I'm a big faith person. And so I really felt like this was my purpose. And my first company, I found a community with needs. I filled those gaps. I was able to reward from that because I was helping people. And so I just saw this as another way to do that again. Like, I felt deep pain in my recovery for my mental health. And there was nothing that my surgeon could do about it. They didn't do anything wrong. But then I found out that there were patients that were even having deep pain because of things that surgeons and offices did do wrong. So then I wanted to be able to protect them and at least give them a safe place under one roof that had standards and one mission: patients over profit, which is what POP stands for, to know that they're going to be put first, really put first, not like fake put first, but like actually put first. And so we are growing, which is amazing, but we probably could have grown a lot faster if we were like some of the other people in the industry who would put profits over people, but that is not what we do here at Pop. So it's been quite the ride, but I'm glad that I chose to take it. I always say, like, I can do hard things, and really life is about doing the hard things. The easy things are easy. So
for everybody tuning in here who's probably listening, as soon as I got on the call with Laura, I was like, this woman, she's got some brightness to her. And you all know, I mean, the title of the show is the School of Radiance podcast. And it's been so lovely hearing more of your story, Laura. And I think what is helping you really shine is the fact that you are living your purpose. And the purpose that you shared that you have is to elevate patients over profits. Patient-centered care is really important. And for me as an aesthetic nurse, there's two things that, have kind of bugged me a little bit of the industry, which I alluded to before. So it truly is my passion as well to elevate that patient-centered care and also help to elevate and enhance the med spa industry. Those are two really important purposes that I have professionally too. So that's why I publish papers on rejuvenation algorithms and things like that. So it's interesting that you identified this in 2022. And what happened before that? Everybody started to show up on Zoom. So we became a little bit more focused on the way that we looked in and on camera. Certain things from certain angles were being highlighted that maybe we didn't see before. So we're seeing this huge shift in our culture to kind of look a certain way, but really at the foundation of what you're talking about, it's to get the landscape dialed in first, especially from the mental health component, because we see what happens when people feel like they're unlovable or they're not enough, and then they have a surgery. And sure, they might have something on their physical form adjusted surgically, but they haven't fixed the inside. And we've all seen these individuals who have just spent tens of thousands of dollars on aesthetic rejuvenation, but they have this deadness in their eyes. And one of the key things to being beautiful and radiant is to be acting out of integrity and to have a confidence, like this quiet confidence that you are living your purpose, you're doing good things, you're having great engagements with yourself and with others, and you're doing something to help make the world a little brighter. And I don't think there's anything wrong with if there's something that you've thought about doing for a while, and there are some options that have been utilized for a long time to maybe do something. If you've already done the at-home legwork, like say working with Laura and her team behind the scenes, there is that surgical option down the line. So many women deal with fluctuations in their weights, whether that's through stress, whether that's through having kids. You mentioned the ups and downs in weight, the diastasis or the coming apart of the abdominal wall. And this is why it's so important for me at the gym to work on my core and getting that muscle mass up. This is hugely linked to longevity. We're seeing that now with being metabolically flexible, helping with our metabolism and all of that. And when people lose weight, it's almost like they're physically shedding things. So that's where that emotional tie also comes from. It's like they're literally shedding skin and they have the opportunity to rewrite their story. And I'm sure that, behind the scenes, you just have incredible testimonials and stories of women and men who now have this new lease on life because they've actually learned how to operate their physical form in a way that's going to help them look better, but also help them be better, especially for those kiddos that are always watching. And for women like you who are living your purpose, you're making a lot of money in the process. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because when you're helping people, I think you should be rewarded for that work. Absolutely.
Agreed.
So, Laura, do you have any closing words for us here today?
I just think that if anyone's going on a transformation journey, that they really need to researching yourself is great, right? It's great, but it's different than when you have someone do the research who's done it thousands of hours and thousands of times. Uh, you know, I love how you use the word rejuvenation. I think I'm going to use that. But like aesthetic rejuvenation and all of these things, they aren't just like some quick fix. And sometimes you can be in a great space, you think, in the before surgery, and then after there would be a switch. And so we believe that this recovery as a service that we're building is the future of, surgical support, but also transformational support. Whenever you're doing a major transformation, weight loss, all of those things, you don't have to do it alone. And it doesn't have to just be your closest circle of friends and family members being your support system either. Because the fact of the matter is, it's very rare to find the family member who has the time to hold your hand throughout the process, has been through the process. But one thing they will never have is they've been through the process thousands of times. And I think that that's really what I would like patients to know, is that they don't have to do it alone anymore, and they don't have to be rich. They don't have to be a celebrity, because these celebrities, they all have teams. They have chefs, they have nutritionists, they have fitness, they have mental health. They have all of that. They don't tell people about it, but they have it. And so I wanted to give that support system to the patients. And I just want them to know that they deserve that. They deserve that, to be able to enjoy and really take advantage of faster all of the hard work and money that they're investing in themselves.
Absolutely. Laura, where can people find you and learn more about your mission and how you help people?
Yeah, so you can follow us on all platforms at Pop Recovery Systems. You can also find us at poprecoverysystems.com. And if you're ever just curious about what's going on in my life, I'm siempre Laura Alexis, which is always Laura Alexis in Spanish. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, what you're doing is really the future of anti-aging and rejuvenation and the med spa industry and the plastic surgery industry, kind of all in one. So that's why I'm so happy to have you here on the show, is that honestly, this is what the ideal medical aesthetics, the more discerning rather, med spa, surgical or non-surgical patient is looking for. They're looking for one roof to have everything, and everything dialed in a way that's going to be customized to help them achieve their ideal outcome. So you are help elevating the industry, and I've seen a lot of clinics like try and do this, but there's quite a bit of red tape that can be in the way, or like you said before, the team in the center just quite doesn't have the capacity to get into the level of expertise with the nutrition and the fitness and the mental health support that I think is a really great adjunct to having elective surgeries like this. And of course, what we talk about here on the show is not medical advice. This is educational information only. If you think you have a medical condition, you must seek the guidance of a licensed physician. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode right here on the School of Radiance podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes of this episode. Subscribe, like, share this episode with a loved one, and it will be my pleasure to help customize your skincare routine, get you dialed in with your skincare, with some biohacking, maybe with some of the in-clinic rejuvenation, with some clinics near you as well. And also be sure to shop all of my top skincare picks on my skin shop at theschoolofradiance.com, with my line being the Always Radiant skincare line that I've created myself, very proud of, with the new copper peptide, which actually can help to trigger cellular autophagy and help to prune out those senescent cells, which actually age our skin faster, and colloidal silver as a preservative, which is pretty innovative as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us here on the School of Radiance podcast. And now you have a little bit more insights into what's going on in the industry, some additional support and resources to help you out, like what Laura Alexis is doing with her project as well. And just want to give a quick shout out to your specific website is going to be in the description of this episode. So if you're thinking about doing surgery, reach out to her team and get some of that support behind the scenes. Love what you're doing, and looking forward to connecting with you all very soon right here on the School of Radiance podcast.